listen-only mode.
Okay, good evening everyone. Sorry for a couple of little technical difficulties here. We're all operating remotely and we just had a little trouble getting the question part to work. So welcome to everyone. My name's Alex McDonald. I manage the SBTS and TBTS projects. And tonight, a bit of housekeeping. If you have questions, if your question box disappears, you've got to click that red arrow as shown on the screen right now to get it back. And to ask to present a question, simply type your question into the questions pane and send. If you're having any audio problems, you can call in using your telephone by switching your audio from mic and speakers to telephone and then dial in using the number provided. But hopefully everyone's got audio on their PC. I'm now going to hand over to tonight's presenter, Paul Williams. So welcome, Paul, and we look forward to your presentation. I've just got to find Paul.
Thank you very much, Alex. So tonight my webinar is on fertility. Hopefully can hear me.
Yep, we've got you hearing you, and we've got your initial screen up.
So tonight's webinar is going to be on fertility matters. It's recording fertility information with BREEDPLAN. So tonight's webinar is the fourth in the series we're doing this year, and there's two more to come after this. One collecting abattoir carcass information for BREEDPLAN, which will be next Monday, and then the last one will be Where to with Genomics, which will be on the 14th of November. So tonight I'm going to talk about there's three current fertility EBV traits we'll talk about, and also one trial fertility trait for recording with BREEDPLAN. So those are scrotal size, a new one for tropical cattle will be % normal sperm, then there's days to calving, and the last one will be gestation length. So firstly, scrotal size. So scrotal size EBV provides an estimate to the genetic difference between animals and their scrotal circumference at the age of 400 days. So scrotal size, it's expressed in centimetres. So the larger, more positive scrotal EBV of +4 you would expect to produce sons with larger testicles at yearling age compared to a bull with a lower scrotal, say, of -2. So what it's doing is it's identifying those bulls that are early maturing that are giving us a larger scrotal at a younger age. So why do we measure scrotal size? Well, so the scrotal size circumference of the bull is important. It indicates his genetic merit for several male fertility traits. So specifically, if you increase scrotal circumference at the same age, in a young bull, you would expect that that bull will be earlier at age of puberty. He'll have increased semen production, and also it shows that improved semen quality at that younger age. So the bull with that larger scrotal at a younger age is going to be more earlier to reach puberty. You'd expect to get better quality semen and a larger semen quantity of semen that will be produced as well. So also scrotal circumference is also favourable correlated with female fertility traits. So a bull with a larger scrotal EBV is more likely to father daughters which will be earlier to reach puberty. They'll return to estrus earlier after they've calved, and then also you'd expect to get those cows to have shorter days to calving EBVs as well. So how do we measure scrotal size? So scrotal size is a calculation of the measure of the scrotal circumference of the bull's testes. So the scrotal circumference will only be analysed if those bulls are measured between the age of 300 to 7 days to be submitted into BREEDPLAN. And it's recommended we try and do that scrotal circumference at that 400-day weight. So at about a yearling age is the best time to do that, when you're going to get the biggest variation in the scrotal sizes on circumference in those young bulls. If you do them older in age, those younger bulls potentially could have increased their scrotals as they've matured, and you'll get not as much variation as you would expect by doing them at a younger age. So it's also recommended that when you're doing your scrotal circumference, you need to use a metal tape, or you can use the new bath tape as well, but just using a tape like a sewing, used for sewing, that is prone to stretching, and you'll get uneven, you won't get good quality data that you're recording when you're measuring those scrotals. You could expect that tape could stretch. So how do we measure scrotal size? So importantly, if you look at these two pictures, it's showing you that you pull the testes firmly down to the lower, from the lower part of the scrotum. You want to place that measuring tape around the widest part on the scrotal, and you record that circumference in centimetres to the 1 decimal place. And importantly, if you look at the one on the right, the reliable, it's probably the preferred one that we would use now. So as you see, you push that little button in, and on the other side it has a mark, and when it gets to a certain amount of pressure, it'll tell you that that's the right amount of pressure when you're measuring that tape. Where the other one is a good tape, but it doesn't actually tell you when to stop when you're recording how much pressure you're putting onto the scrotum when you're doing it. And importantly, BREEDPLAN will only analyse one scrotal circumference for each bull. So if you're submitting two, one at 4 and one at 600 day weight, the only information that we'll be using will be that data from the first scrotal size circumference measurement at a 400 day weight. So important points, scrotal bulls, when they're approaching puberty, typically this is around that 400 days of age. Use a constant measuring technique for all bulls. So just try and make sure when you are measuring that scrotal size that you're doing the same, repeating the same way you're measuring those bulls for each of those bulls. And importantly, that one person should measure all the group of bulls that you're doing on that day. And the tension of the tape should be just enough to slightly indent the skin and the scrotum. And as I said, with the bath tape, that'll actually show you when you're actually getting the right tension on the scrotum. And importantly, don't place your thumb holding the neck of the scrotum between the cords. This can cause the testes to spread and cause an inaccurate measurement. Sorry, I might have been, somehow it's been muted. I'm not sure. You there, Alex? Hello?
Paul, I think it was from when you went after you did
Paul, you're on.
After you did the scrotals, where not to put your thumbs. I think it was the next slide that you went mute from.
Okay. Okay, I had that. I'm not sure how that happened. Sorry about that. I'll just go back to where we were.
Just go.
From here.
Yep, that one.
Yep.
Okay. So another important thing is to do that, to ensure that we measure all balls, not just those balls that have abnormalities as well, like one testicle or one big and one small. It's important to measure all the balls that are in that group, but also then to subgroup those balls into a different management group. So when we're submitting scrotal size data submission, so you submit that data directly to BREEDPLAN. Any of the following submission methods can be used. The paper forms, so forms that are sent out from BREEDPLAN to the individual breeder to submit it in. Weigh and scanning information on the Excel templates that are on the BREEDPLAN website. And performance recording software extract from the likes of Herdmaster and other recording software packages that are available. And also some breed societies are able to submit that on Internet Solutions directly in the breed society's download area. So if we're looking at the submitting the data in an Excel template from the BREEDPLAN website, so if you're to go onto the BREEDPLAN website, click into Technical. If we look down the bottom of the page, we can see Microsoft Excel templates. So once we click into there, we then would click on the template for submitting weights and scanning information. And once on there, there's very in-depth instructions of how to submit that data through to BREEDPLAN. And then you would send that through to your breed society at BREEDPLAN. And also on that BREEDPLAN webpage, we have a link to the other Herdmaster Stockbook, Stockit and Cool software. And once again, you'll be clicking on that submitting weights, scanning and traits for BREEDPLAN information within those ones there. So what else? Alex is just wondering if there's any questions.
No questions, Paul.
Okay.
Sorry, Paul. No, I don't have any other questions. Yep.
What I'll move on to now is it's a new trait. It's only really in a research phase, but it's for percent normal sperm. It's a trial EBV, but it's only for the tropical breed so far. So the BCRC Northern Fertility Project showed that male fertility traits were heritable, and also that those male fertility traits, they had a correlation with female reproduction traits. So just a little bit on percent normal sperm. So what we need to do is a bull breeding soundness evaluation, so a BBSE test. So this test describes the current fertility of the bull for that bull for breeding. So this is conducted by accredited vets. It's a crush side vet with low magnification, crush side test with low magnification. When that looks at the mass activity and the motility of that sperm, and then a sample is collected and it's sent off to the lab under a higher magnification, which look at sperm morphology or percent normal sperm, which is looking at the abnormalities within that sperm. And this is normally measured for sales around in the Northern Australia between that 18 to 24 months of age. So just a bit of a rundown what we were looking at. So generally we'd have a scrotal size, which is measured in centimetres. Mass activity, which is done at a 40 magnification, and that's just looking at the swirl of that of that semen under the slide, and the faster the swell, the higher the activity. So that is a score from 1 to 5. Then we look at motility, which is at 400 magnification, and that's just looking at percentage of those sperm that are progressively motile swimming forward. And the last one is the percent normal sperm, which is done under high magnification of 1,000, and that's looking at proportion of sperm that are free of abnormalities. So that's looking at also within that it looks at the different types of abnormalities that's in that sperm when we're doing that test. So the recommendations from the Bull project, which was done by Dick Holroyd and Lee Fitzpatrick back in 2002, for bulls under 50% normal for sperm, that bull would fail. From 50 to 70%, it was a qualified pass, and that was recommended bulls if that in that range would be used in multi-sire groups. And a bull over 70% normal, you would be using that in the single sire mating or AI, use him for AI. And this is just some work from Lee Fitzpatrick where they've used, gave it a fertility score which was looking at the percent normal sperm versus the calf production. So it's the number of calves sired by the average calf sired in the multi-group sire mating groups. So we can look there, those bulls that had very low percent normal sperm, generally speaking, had very few, didn't have a lot of calves. When we get into the bulls, if the high percent normal, that's when you're getting that higher fertility score. You're getting more calves in those multi-sire groups due to the fact the higher quality in the semen of those bulls that went into that multi-sire group. So just going on to the work that's been done so far. So it's a single trait. So the trait's just analysed as percent normal sperm. So this is just looking in the results of BBSE tests that have been sent in for 18 to 24 months of age, the bulls have been. So far we've had 2,430 Brahmins, just under 3,000 Santa Gertrudis. So those two have enough information to have this trial EBV running. But drought masters, we're still looking to get a few more there before they can actually look at getting it up and running at only 866 head. So the percent normal EBV presents an opportunity for better describe male fertility in the evaluation for tropical breeds. So rather than just having a scrotal size, we're looking at, with this percent normal, will give us a better indication of those bulls that are going to produce more calves and better, and also it's a correlated trait with female reproduction, and it's better than scrotal size. So those bulls, with the higher percent normal, we're expecting to have those females with better reproduction as lifetime reproduction. So just a description of that EBV. So percent normal trial EBV will provide an estimate of the genetic difference between the animals for percent normal sperm. And the EBV is expressed in percentages. So the bull for an EBV of plus 15, we would expect to produce sons of better quality semen and daughters with a better lifetime reproduction in those bulls than a bull with an EBV of, say, -2. So submitting the percent normal data, that needs to be directly submitted to BREEDPLAN. To get those download for the templates, you need to contact the BREEDPLAN office or myself for a copy of the Excel data sheet. And just it might be a little bit hard to see, but that's just a description. So that's just showing a description of all the traits that we're measuring. So that when you get, if you get the Excel template, so it's explaining all the traits and the ranges that are in. And the last, finally, that's just an example of some data that's been sent in. So you'll have a body condition score, your leg scores. Generally speaking, if it's a full BBSE, you'll get your feet looking at it. So it's just normal, or A means that it's not normal. And then the sheaf scores from a 1 to 5. We're looking at the aversion, so how much prepuce is hanging out. Also scrotal size, then you're looking at the testicle tone, and then we look at then we get into the density, mass activity, progressive motility, percent normal, and then we start looking at some of the defects when you're looking at the percent normal. which will come when you've had your BBSE done. You'll have a lot of that information. So that's just submitted to BREEDPLAN, and presently you'll only get trial EBVs that are coming out of that, not ones that will be shown in the download area. I'll take it back to you, Alex, and see if there's any questions on that % normal sperm.
No, there are no questions showing
I've got one.
just at the moment.
I think
Yes.
Alex,
So
you might not be able to
press
see
on. Go on.
them.
No,
So the question was, where can you purchase the
All right,
reliable scrotal tape measures?
you should be able to. You can certainly do them online. I know that Beef Breeding Services in Rockhampton, also Rocky Repro, sell them. That's for the bath tape. They're about $60. So if you were to ring Rocky Repro or Beef Breeding Services, both of those should be able to sell you those tapes. But they are both based in Rockhampton.
Thanks, Paul. And we've had one more question come through. Are other breeds adopting the new sperm trait?
At present, because the preliminary work was only done within the beef CRC on the tropical breeds, so it's open for any of the tropical breeds, but I'm sure that if other breeds wish to submit that data, that AGBU, or Animal Breeding's Genetic Unit, should be able to at least look at that to see if there's any merit in those traits, but it's open, yes, for any breed to submit that data. But at present, it's only available for those tropical breeds.
Thanks, Paul. There's no more questions at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Next, I'll move on to days to calving. So days to calving, EBV provides an estimate for the genetic difference between animals and the time it takes from the start of joining, so when the female goes to the bull, to when she calves. And days to calving is expressed in days, and unlike a lot of EBVs, the lower, the more negative the days to calving will result in the shorter days to calving. So when we're looking at the EBV, a negative EBV is a preferable EBV to have. So days to calving promotes cows that calve earlier in the season compared to those that calve later, while penalising those cows that do not calve. So the variation in days to calving is mainly due to the difference in the time it takes from the female to conceive after the commensation of joining period, as that graph shows below. So why do we measure days to calving? Well, a female for shortest days to calving, we'd expect her to conceive earlier, and then those females that do tend to reach puberty earlier as heifers, and they return to estrus after calving. So those cows that calve earlier, they've got a longer time with access to the bull to get back and calf as well. So how is it measured? So those interested in measuring days to calving, you need to record all events associated with the natural joining mating. So at present, if you're AIing, those females cannot be analysed for days to calving, so it's only open for natural joinings at present. From the start of the mating period to the end of the breeding season, as subsequent calves are born. So what you need to do, it includes joining details for all females naturally mated in the herd, all females removed from the herd, especially those present at joining but no longer in the herd at calving, and to detail all the calves. So all dead calves and alive calves need to be registered as a result of that joining, not just those calves that are born alive. So we need to record all natural joining events from this female is exposed. So if a female has several joinings in a mating season, we need to record all those matings for that female. So for each of those joinings, we need to have a bull in date, a bull out date, the bull that they went to, and also a management group. So a cow is not calved at bull in date. Also, cows that have not calved at the bull in date are treated differently than those of calves. So those females, the bull goes out and the cows and calves, she's not being directly compared against those cows that have gone into mating with the bull that have already calved. So she'll be in a different management group, and that's done within the analysis, not one that you need to submit yourself. Also, we need to have an event code and for recording natural matings, and it's either we need to put an N for the natural or paddock mating in the recording status there. And management group information to identify cows within the group whose fertility may have been affected either prior or during the joining due to non-genetic facts. Oops. So it's very important we record female disposal information. So we need to record the date and the reason any female is removed from the herd, particularly those present at joining but not at calving. So disposal code information is critical to the days to calving analysis, as it is used to determine whether the female that has a joining record but no calf should be. So we penalise those for being culled for infertility, but not penalising because the cow was culled for other reasons such as structural performance. And those cows that are culled for infertility, they receive a 42-day penalty from when the last calf's born. So any cow that doesn't calf, she gets a penalty of 42 days from when that last calf is born, when the analysis is done. Fate and disposal codes used to days to calving, they are different to those you submit to your breed society. So disposal information submitted to the breed society will not be used in calculation of days to calving. So you need to submit that extra information for days to calving for those animals that have been culled. So this is just giving us a list of disposal information. In most cases, it'll be F for cow failing to get in calf. But there is a list there of other cull disposal codes that can be used. This can be found on the breed plan in tip sheets for days to calving. And also for those cows that have died or missing, there's faith codes for those for presumed dead or have died from dystocia or had a disease or other events like that. So all calves that are born as a result of the joining need to be recorded with your breed society. And not recording all those calves, as I said before, including those dead calves with your breed society, will reduce the accuracy of days to calving for all the animals within that group. So why is days to calving the important points in recording days to calving? So it's collecting the joining information of all females in the herd, not just those as calved. That's very important. Record details of all joining events in which females have been involved, even if it's known that the joining was unsuccessful. So for those females that have gone on an AI program and then gone to a backup bull, we need to submit that they've been to that bull, have been AI'd the date of the AI, and then after that we submit that when they've gone to the bull data as well. So accurately record your fates and disposal codes for all females when they leave the herd. The joining details for females that have been joined in multi-sire groups should be recorded. In this situation, you need to get a multi-sire ident from your breed society, so you need to send a list of those bulls that have gone in that multi-sire group, and the breed society will give you an ident to put in that multi-sire, to put down as the sire that was used in that mating. And those herds that have a very wide calving spread and several calvings per year may have difficulty collecting joining information. So those herds need to contact BREEDPLAN for further advice. So if all you're mating and you're changing bulls, you're probably not going to get the benefit from days to calving of those that are using controlled mating. So when your submission for days to calving, so send your joining data and your fate and disposal code information on your female should be submitted directly to BREEDPLAN. The data can be submitted to BREEDPLAN using the following methods: your performance recording software extract or the joining information Excel templates. And just inform there's no paper forms that are sent out to the breeders for this, and so it needs to be coming from either of those two ways above. And once again, if you're using the BREEDPLAN, the Excel template, so this time it's once again you go to the Microsoft Excel templates, And this time, your template for submitting joining information is the one you want to be using. And once again, it has a step-by-step showing you all the fake codes, all the records we need to be recording, and has a sheet showing you how it should be submitted before, and the sheet to submit the data in as well. And also, once again, the breed compatible website, compatible programs that we use. If we look in there, we can see submitting days to calving information in each of those. It'll lead you, give you tip sheets, and also show you how to do that. So I'll take it back to you, Alex, and see if there's any questions on days to calving.
Thanks, Paul. I think Katrina's reading the questions better than over to Katrina.
No questions at this stage, Paul.
Okay, thank you. So finally, the last one we'll be talking about tonight is gestation length. So the gestation length, EBV, is an estimate of the genetic differences between animals for gestation length. So gestation length defines the period between the date of conception to the subsequent time the calf is born. And gestation length is expressed in days, so the shorter, more negative the gestation length, you would expect the calves to be born earlier. So why do we measure gestation length? So you're looking at lighter birth weights. So those bulls of a lower gestation, you would expect generally to have lighter birth weights. Improve calving ease through those lighter birth weights. And improve the rebreeding performance amongst the dams as well, giving them more time to get back and calf. In addition, calves born with shorter gestation length may be heavier at weaning due to their more growth as they were born earlier. So how is it measured? So gestation length EBVs are calculated from both the joining data and the date of birth records for the calves conceived by either AI or handmating. So the following details are needed to be recorded. So the date of birth from the calf needs to be sent to your breed society. The joining data, so the AI data or the handmating data, also needs to be submitted into the breed society when registering that calf. And you don't need to calculate the exact gestation length for each calf, as a BREEDPLAN analysis will do that for you. So important points: no information from natural matings is used to calculate a gestation length, only that from the AI or the handmating. Gestation length information is currently excluded from BREEDPLAN analysis if it's an embryo transfer calf, that information is not being used. Also, if the calves are twin, because that can affect, twinning affects the gestation length. And if only one animal is represented in the contemporary group, also those animals will not be used. And also, if two or three, 2/3 of the animals in the contemporary group have the same gestation length, and that's coming from when breeders submitting the same birth date for a lot of animals rather than the actual accurate birth dates. So data submission, so basically it's from your birth date of the calf, joining data, it's submitted to the breed society when submitting your calf registrations. And so please contact your breed society should you have any queries regarding that data submission. I know that some people have had a little bit of problem getting that AI dates in for some breeds, so talk to your breed society and they'll explain and go through how to submit that data for you. Just back to you, Katrina or Alex, on any questions.
Yep, we've got one question here. Can selection for short gestation lead to premature calves?
Potentially, I'd say it probably can lead to that, but what you want to be doing is also, but not going too far, but generally the gestation, you're only taking it down by 4 or 5 days, and so, but you want to, if you're also looking at not having too small a birth weight, would probably help solve that problem as well.
Thanks, Paul. There's no more questions at this stage.
Okay, thanks, Katrina. That ends tonight's presentation. So for more information in regard to your breeds, if anyone for Limousin and Simmental, Alex McDonald is your contact technical officer. For Blonde, Aquitaine, Charolais, Devon, Hereford, Murray Grey, Red Angus, Red Pole, Solaire, Shorthorn and Speckled Park, it's Katrina Millen. And for the tropical breeds, Brahmins, Brangus, Droughtmaster, Santa Gertrudis, Senepal and Cimbra, it's myself. And for Wagyu, it's Carl Tesling. And don't forget to register for the webinar next week. Next one is collecting abattoir carcass information from BREEDPLAN, and that will be next Monday, the 31st of October. And the final one will be Where with Genomics, and that'll be on Monday, the 14th of November. Any questions? I'll pass it back to you, Alex.
No more questions at this stage, Paul.
Okay. Thank you.
Katrina, I'm just going to let you talk people through the questionnaire that's going to appear.
Oh, okay. So there's 2 questions on it. So once you log out of the webinar, the questionnaire will pop up, and if you wouldn't mind taking a minute or 2 just to answer those 2 questions, that would be really good.
Okay, thanks, Katrina. So thank you to all those who attended tonight. And as Katrina said, please take the time to fill out those couple of questions, and we look forward to talking to you again in a week's time. So thank you, Paul.
Thank you, Alex.